Chapter 4, Introduction to Hypertext Pre-processor, that is PHP. PHP stands for Hypertext Pre-processor. The learning objectives. So you will be able to understand the importance of web applications, web-based applications, internet-based applications. You will know the server-side scripting language. You will know the features of PHP language, Hypertext Preprocessor language. You will know the basics of web development process, and you will also understand web server installation and configuration in this lesson. In 11th standard, we have already learnt Java scripting, which is client-side scripting. And in 12th standard, in this lesson, we will be learning about PHP, and it is server-side scripting. So JavaScript is client-side, whereas PHP is server-side scripting. So internet and web-based online applications are performing a very important role in business and entertainment industries. So 2 decades back, nearly 20 years back, there was a famous quote by the founder of Microsoft, that is Mr. Bill Gates. So if your business establishment is not on the internet, that is online based, then your business will be out of business context. So nowadays, all businesses are done online. So whether the company is small, medium, or a big enterprise, so their medium of trade is both offline and online. So the web-based internet applications ensure the success of critical business in real-world competitions. So there were many programming languages, but it did not meet out the expectation of latest internet concepts and executions. So in early 1990s, British scientist Tim Berners-Lee introduced this concept of internet and WWW, World Wide Web. So these concepts, they required a new set of programming language from whatever was used earlier for network communication, internet communication. So these programming languages were called as web scripting language. You can see in the picture the portrait of Mr. Tim Berners-Lee. So he was the one who introduced the concept of internet and WWW, World Wide Web. So when all these became famous, and when all the business organizations started to use internet, this concept of WWW and the requirement of a new programming language to meet all the demands urged up. So PHP is one of the most widely used and recognizable technology in use on internet. The web scripting languages had many policies which is easy to handle and solve critical business problems for business organizations around the world. So in around 1990s, late 1990s actually, many web scripting languages were introduced to support internet online businesses, and PHP is one of the most widely used recognizable technologies. So originally PHP was expanded as personal homepage, and later on it was changed for Hypertext Preprocessor. However, no matter what is called, PHP is a fundamental part of any dynamic web page. It is the most widely used server-side scripting language till today. So PHP, Hypertext Preprocessor, can be considered as one of the important server-side scripting language, as well as a general purpose scripting language that was invented by Rasmus Ledov in 1994. You can see his picture in the left. So it is a very simple and lightweight open source scripting language. What do you mean by the word open source? So it is available free on internet. At the same time, the source code can be downloaded and can be modified according to our need. We have learnt about open source in detail earlier. So it can be easily embedded with HTML. We have also learned HTML, isn't it? We have also learned how to embed JavaScript in HTML. Similarly, we are going to learn how to embed this PHP. JavaScript and PHP are client-side and server-side scripting languages. So in this lesson, we will be also learning about how to embed PHP in HTML programming. and other client-side scripting languages like CSS and JavaScript. So it can be easily embedded with HTML. It also creates dynamic and interactive web pages in the real-time web development projects. In 11th standard, we have already learned about HTML, we have learned about CSS files, cascading style sheets, and we have also learned about JavaScript. And this PHP goes on with everything. It can be embedded with everything. So it is considered to be a competitor and alternative for other server-side scripting languages. There are many other server-side scripting languages. I told you this is one of the prominent server-side scripting language, but there are many other scripting languages as well. So before getting into all the other scripting languages, have a look at why we should use PHP. So PHP, I said, it's widely used, and here are a few examples in social media sites, blogs, e-commerce. So social media sites, your Facebook, WordPress users, WordPress blogs, we are created using WordPress, isn't it? So it uses PHP, and e-commerce and even others like Yahoo and Wikipedia uses PHP programming language. So it is a widely used server-side language. And these are the popular server-side scripting languages. Here you have Microsoft Corporation's ASP. ASP stands for Active Server Page, and JSP stands for Java Server Page. Okay, so and Python, another famous language. Okay, so all these are server-side scripting languages, out of which PHP stands the first. And here you can see the statistics of other server-side scripting languages. So PHP occupies the most position. 78.9% of the websites are developed using PHP scripting languages. And these are the other server-side scripting languages: ASP, Ruby, Perl, Cold Fusion, Java, and many other, Scala, Python, Erlang, etc. There are many other server-side scripting languages, out of which the widely used one is PHP. So various server-side programming languages and the global and the worldwide usage statistics we have seen so far. So PHP scripting language can be executed via an interpreter. What is an interpreter? Interpreter is nothing but a translator. Here you can see the working of a PHP. Suppose in your mobile you type a web address, you request for a web address. Okay, look at point number 1. Now this web address goes on in a communication network, you call it as internet, and it reaches a web server. This web server has a PHP interpreter module. I said interpreter stands for translator. Interpreter stands for translator. Okay, so server side la inda data edukradhukku theviyana translations vandu enna pannum, PHP interpreter pannum. So coding edhula eldirkom, nama PHP la eldirkom, adu server ku pogum. Server side it has an interpreter module, translator module, because we write in English language, isn't it? But it has to be translated into binary language, machine language, and it has to be passed over different types of communication networks, wireless, wired communication networks, different types of internet service providers, etc. Okay, and it reaches the destination. There it is in turn translated for gaining the data from the web server, and it is returned back again. The full entire website is returned back to the client, that is the user. Client na yaru, நம்ம தான், user தான் client. வெப் சர்வர்லேருந்து நம்ம டேட்டாவை ரெக்வஸ்ட் பண்ணுறோம். ஒரு வெப்சைட் அட்ரஸ் கொடுத்து இந்த வெப்சைட் அட்ரஸோட டேட்டாவெல்லாம் கொண்டு வான்னு சொல்கிறோம். ஸோ ஜென்ரலி ஆல் வெப்சைட்ஸ் mostly they use PHP. Okay, so here you can see the working of a PHP. So PHP scripting language can be executed via an interpreter. Underline the word interpreter and write it as a translator, which is installed in the web server, or we call it as CGI, Common Gateway Interface. Web server, it is also called as CGI, Common Gateway Interface. So mostly web servers are server side softwares, isn't it? Like Apache, Tomcat, Microsoft IIS, Internet Information Server, etc. So it supports this PHP interpreter module. Module is a software, a part of the software. Okay, so module means it's a part of a program, software program. So PHP, as I told you earlier, is an open source community development initiation. So it's open source software that is available free. At the same time, the source code of PHP is also free. So if we have good programming language skill, then we can modify that code and we can change it according to our need. So it has many versions to ensure the quality and ease of web development activities. So in your textbook, they have given that the current version of PHP is 7.3 that was released in 30th November 2017. But as far as now, recently, the recent version of PHP is 7.4 and 7.3 was already released in May 2019. So here you can see the different versions from in the picture from 5.2 to till date 7.4. Okay. So then the widely used, as you can see, is PHP version 5.6. Client-server architecture. In the evolution of network architecture, various critical network-related problems are solved by this client-server architecture model. We all know that the client is the machine that requests for some service, and the server is the machine that gives that particular service. So the client-server architecture introduces application sharing mechanism between two different hardware systems over the network, whether it is an internet or an intranet. So the client machine requests something and that is given by the server machine. In 1990s, internet was emerging in the computer network field. So the main objective of internet implies that an application is shared by more than one hardware. Either it could be a server or a client machine. So sharing resources was the main advantage of computer networks or internet. So the server. What is a server? What is a client? The server is a high performance hardware machine, so that it can run more than one application softwares concurrently at the same time. At the same time. Okay. So it can run more than one application software. Applications with the softwares. Okay. So the client is nothing but a separate another hardware machine that is connected with the server in the network via internet or intranet. So this client sends a request and it receives the response from the server. So the server and client are called as service provider and service requester. So the client requests for a service. So client is called as the service requester and the server provides it, and that's why it is called as service provider. This is the client server architecture models. So it is classified into three types. One is single tier architecture, two tier architecture, and three tier architecture, or n number of tiers, or multi tier architecture. So first one we'll learn about single tier architecture. So this architecture is used for the server accessed by the client. So the client application runs inside the server machine itself. ஒரே machine வந்து client-ஆவும் act பண்ணும் and a part of it acts as a server as well. So everything is inside one machine. Database அதுக்குள்ளே இருக்கும், application software அதுக்குள்ளே இருக்கும், and it takes the data from the database and it gives it. So everything is inside one machine. ஸோ சர்வர் தனி மெஷினு, தனி சிஸ்டம், கிளையண்ட் தனி சிஸ்டம்ங்கிறது கிடையாது. ஒரே சிஸ்டமில் ஒரே கம்ப்யூட்டரில் இட் ஹேஸ் போத் த சர்வீசஸ், கிளையண்ட் ஆஸ் வெல் அஸ் தி சர்வர்ஸ், பட் இட் இஸ் நாட் யூஸ்ட் frequently. The next one is two-tier architecture. This architecture is used for the server accessed by the client as two-layer interactions. அதாவது ஒன்று client, இன்னொன்று server. Client layer is tier 1 and server layer is tier 2. Okay. So client requests a service from the server, and this can be compared to the results that you see, isn't it, using the websites. So you type the website and you give the username, that is your roll number, and your date of birth as your password. So it goes to the server, finds out your result and comes back. Okay, the server is the database server that contains your data. So lakhs and lakhs of students write a particular public examination, and when you give the correct roll number and the date of birth as password, you receive the result. So this type of architecture is two-tier architecture. So your machine is the client. You are requesting for an answer, and the website that resides in the server responses you, isn't it? So pour www.tnresults.nic.in கொடுக்குற இல்லையா, கொடுத்து யூசர்நேம் பாஸ்வேர்ட் கொடுக்குற, and it goes to the particular server. அங்கேருந்து டேட்டா எடுத்துட்டு வந்து உனக்கு கொடுக்குது. So this is a two-tier architecture. Now we'll move on to three-tier architecture, or more than three. You call it as multi-nale many dane, or n number of tiers. Okay, so here there are many servers, but there is only one client. It can be many clients as well. Okay, so for example, take a client. If a client asks for a request, அது ரெண்டு மூணு சர்வருக்கு கூட போய் ஃபைனல் ஆன்சர் வாங்கிட்டு வரலாம், and that is called three-tier architecture. So this architecture is used for the server accessed by client through more than one layer interaction. So client server ரெண்டு machine இல்லாம, as you can see in the picture, there's a client, there's a server, and another database server. So there are three machines here. Okay, so the programmer could decide the count of business logic layers. எத்தனை servers வைக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது the programmer can decide. Okay, based on the requirement, according to the software requirement. So that's why we cannot limit this three tier னு சொல்ல முடியல, அதுக்கு மேலேயும் இருக்கலாம், and that's why they have given the name as multi-tier architecture or n-tier architecture. N stands for any number of times. Okay, so this is the commonly used architecture where you use it for railway reservation and all that, isn't? You use a software and you use that particular app in your mobile or the particular website. You directly ask for the seats reservation, or you can use any other software that the particular company provides. Okay, and you make reservation. So now that is the intermediary server. Okay, it goes for it, and from there it goes for the database server to check whether you have the number of, supposing you are booking a ticket in redbus.com. So redbus.in, you are the client, your system request for the redbus server. So the network is connected to different companies, isn't it? Many companies they integrate with redbus and they give you service, and in turn from the server again it is directed to the different other servers by different other companies to find out if there is seat availability, and finally after searching many servers the result comes back to you. And this is a simple example for three-tier architecture where you have more than one service. Okay, and there may be many clients as well. Okay, your Swiggy, Zomato, or your any tourism websites are all three-tier architecture servers. Okay, so we have learned three types of client server architecture models. The first one is single tier architecture where the client server எல்லாமே ஒரே மெஷின்ல இருக்கும். ஒரே மெஷின்லேயே வந்து சாஃப்ட்வேரும் இருக்கும், அந்த சாஃப்ட்வேர் உள்ள டேட்டா ஸ்டோர் இருக்கும், அதுக்குள்ளேருந்து டேட்டா எடுத்து கொடுக்கும். அண்ட் அஃப்கோர்ஸ் திஸ் இஸ் நாட் ஃப்ரீக்வெண்ட்லி யூஸ்டு. ஓகே, அண்ட் த செகண்ட் ஒன் தட் வி சா இஸ் டூ டயர் ஆர்கிடெக்சர். இதில் கிளையன்ட்ஸ் இருக்கும், சர்வர் ஒரு சர்வர் தான் இருக்கும், and it access it directly from the server. That's why when you look for results it takes lot of time because many of them are using the same server. Okay, and the third one is three tier, multi-tier or n-tier architecture where you can have more than one service. Okay, so client goes through many layers of interaction. போய் அந்த அடுத்தடுத்த சர்வர்ஸில் சர்ச் பண்ணி ஃபைனல் ரிசல்ட் உனக்கு கொடுக்கும், as simple as a Google search engine. Okay, so most of the server side scripting languages are working on any one of this client server architecture models. Now you should also know about web server. Web server is a software which is running in the server. So server machineல இதெல்லாம் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ரன் பண்ணுற சாஃப்ட்வேர் தான் என்னது, வெப் சர்வர். ஸோ வெப் சர்வர் இஸ் அ சாஃப்ட்வேர், வேற சர்வர் இஸ் அ ஹார்ட்வேர் மெஷின் சிஸ்டம். ஓகே, ஹை எண்ட் மெஷின், ஹை பர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் மெஷின். ஓகே, அதுக்குள்ளே சர்வருக்குள்ளே நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணுற சாஃப்ட்வேர் தான் என்ன சொல்கிறோம், வெப் சர்வர்னு சொல்கிறோம். So web server is nothing but a software which is running in the server hardware. It takes the responsibilities for compilation and execution of server side scripting languages. அதாவது நம்ம PHPலாம் படிக்க போகிறோம் இல்லையா, ஸோ அதில் எழுதுகிற கோடிங் எல்லாம் எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ணி இன்டர்பிரட்டர் யூஸ் பண்ணி ஃபைனல் ஆன்சர்ஸ் கொடுக்க போகிறது இந்த வெப் சர்வர் தான். So I have given you few examples for web server in which we'll be learning about Apache and XAMPP in this lesson.